Good evening. Oh, okay. Okay, that's working. Okay. Okay, see. Sandra. Okay, so I'll give it a minute and then I will call the meeting to order.
Oliver, can you hear me?
Yes.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, just now. Did you say something before?
I said Baker and I are here, but we're currently at the Turkey Drive at Coogan Pavilion, but we're listening in the background if you guys have any questions.
Oh, cool. So it's still going on. Okay.
Yes.
Wrapping up.
Okay, so I'm guessing that was a pretty good turnout. Okay, so okay. Paperwork. Okay, so it is 7:02. I will call the meeting to order and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. See if I can see it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so it's 7:03 and let's start with roll call. Okay. Carmen Rodriguez, absent. Kimberly Edwards, absent. Oliver Augustin, present. Sebastian Bianchine, absent. Rania Das, Absent. George DeYoung. Absent. Yexandra Diaz.
Present.
Nathan Earl. Absent. Jessica Holzer.
Present.
Got it. Caleb Ortiz Diaz.
Present.
Marcy Lynn Teague. Absent. Steven Ergiles Noguera.
Present.
Angelina Wilson.
Present.
Robin Wilson.
Here.
Okay, so that should be 1, 2, 3. 4. Okay. So we have enough for quorum. It is 7:05. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the October minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Did everyone get a chance to review them?
I did, yes. I have no
Okay.
questions.
Anyone else?
It's Angelina. I have a question for, yes, October. I called the day after and asked to be excused because I had something to do the day of. So I know it's listed as unexcused.
Oh, the day after. Let me.
I think I sent the email to you and Erica. I'll look again in my email tomorrow or by Monday and just send it to you again as a re-forward it so you can see the date, okay? If you
Okay,
can't.
so let me just put this in as an amendment. So okay. So with the amendment under attendance. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to accept the October minutes with the amendment of Angelina's Wilson's attendance in the previous minutes. Does anyone second?
Second.
Okay, Robin Wilson. It is 7:07. Okay. And all those in favor of accepting the amended minutes, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, it is 7:08. So let's jump into the agenda review. Okay, so another simple meeting tonight. Uh for new business, we will be going over the review of the emergency meeting, FOIA questions for Corporation Counsel, the secretary vacancy, committee appointments, Thanksgiving turkey giveaway, and the Good Scout Award reception. So now on to the financial report. It is 7:09. I didn't get any emails from Marcy Lynn. Did anyone hear from her?
No, I haven't, but I do have something to report on the financial report. I mean, I know I'm not the financial person, but this is in reference to the um $300 from the setting up, not the 300, the setting up of the bank account. I have
Okay.
information on that whenever you wish me to speak on that, since we are on financial report.
Okay. So Jessica, did you say something or?
Yeah, sorry about that. We just got an email from Marcy Lynn saying, please bear with me as my mom's going through some health issues and she's with her for the next 2 days. That was in response to the new business deadline email that we were going back and forth on. So that may be sort of her update, is that she's not able to give an update beyond that right now.
Oh, okay. I see it just popped in.
Yeah.
Let me note that. Um, Okay, so then let's just move over to committee reports and we'll start with
Oliver,
finance.
I did have some helpful information that I said regarding the finance committee.
Yes, that's
Regarding,
why I'm saying we're moving to the finance committee so you can give that report.
oh, okay, you want to do it under the report? I'm sorry, because it says up number 6 says financial report. So I got a little confused. So you want me to speak when you get to the finance committee report?
Yes.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, so 7-Eleven, finance committee. Okay, so now you have the floor.
Okay, so I did speak with the mayor's office and Alex, I can't pronounce his name and I don't want to torture it. He did indicate to me that I guess someone had reached out to him about, I don't know if it was you, Oliver, or Marcy Lynn, about setting up the bank account. Because we need to get that set up so we can request the $300 from the alders. And he indicated to me to have whoever it was that reached out. I mean, Marcy Lynn is the chairperson of that committee. And I don't know if you can reach out, Oliver, but Alex indicated to me that other boards and commissions have set up accounts. He can help you with that.
Okay, so for Alex, he was most likely speaking in reference to me, so I reached out to him by email and
He apologized for not getting back to you too, because he said, somebody had reached out. He couldn't remember who it was, whether it was you or Marcy Lynn. And he did apologize for that. And he did say that he could help in getting the account set up.
okay, because that was through the official Gmail account. So I have my information at the bottom, but you might not have noticed. But okay, so he did respond like a couple weeks ago. He put me in touch with the Peace Commission again. I spoke with two of the current members. Let me bring up my notes.
The Peace Commission.
Yes, so the Peace Commission has an active bank account so they can handle finances and do all that stuff for their commission. So I contacted Roberto Irizarry and Aaron Good via email. So what I learned from them is that the first step is securing the EIN and registering with the Secretary of State.
Mhm.
So I spoke with Aaron. He said that it may not require a full nonprofit status, but at the very least, there has to be some incorporation so we can take this info to a bank and they'll open up the account for us. So with that, I scheduled a phone appointment with Bank of America next week. So they're gonna call me. Once I find out the details, then I'll see if I can get anyone else involved. And I opened up a business.ct.gov account for the Youth Commission. So what I
Is
found,
that an email? That's an email account?
uh, that's a business account with the Secretary of the State.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I was just on the website today for a case. Okay. You're talking about the Secretary of State's website. You open up a business account for the Youth Commission.
Yes. So the way they're doing it is that all filing has to be done digitally now,
Right.
just to make it
Right.
easier and more accurate. So the key points of information that we needed was business name. So it's going to be the Youth Commission. Street address. I don't know if we can do like a PO box or something like that. Email address. So using our Youth Commission Gmail account. They wanted an NAICS code number, which is how I think the census organizes business accounts by type for surveying purposes. So I managed to find that out for us. And they need a point of contact. So I figured it would either be myself, the treasurer, or the finance chair, but we can work on that later. So in terms of how long it takes to set up the account and get the EIN, I couldn't really see anything, but I don't think it should take that long.
It shouldn't take that long because isn't everything done online, even obtaining the EIN number?
Hmm.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
guessing
And
no longer than a week.
it may be this is just a friendly suggestion to name it New Haven Youth Commission, just because there might be other youth commissions out there. So City of New Haven Youth Commission is what the how the ordinance reform refers to us. But
Okay, so
unless somebody told you otherwise, that would be my suggestion.
okay. And then I'll ask to see if a PO box is a good substitute for a business street address.
The bank may require, oh no, let me withdraw that. I don't know because I know that with other or two other organizations I'm in that have bank accounts, actually three other organizations, they all have PO boxes. So
Oh, okay.
they may take the PO box, the
Uh,
bank.
Okay, so then I'll also look into pricing.
Yeah, my main concern about any type of business account is that often the mandatory minimums to avoid fees are going to be way more than 300 bucks.
You're right.
Oh, and
Because
is that is
we had to change because the banks were eating up. I mean, we have more money in the organizations I'm in, but we also were concerned because some of the fees it's ridiculous. So and we don't have much money. You don't want the fees to eat up the money that we have.
Well, and especially if we end up giving it all away, you know, like we won't be able to retain a minimum amount if our goal is to get rid of it to people who are serving youth or to use it for, events and those sorts of things. So that'll be a question I think we just have to ask Bank of America. I don't know if because we're a commission and theoretically sort of have some nonprofit status, if that will shift it. There might be some special options. Where is the Peace Commission banking? Do we know?
the Peace Commission, they do their banking with where did I write down? Wells Fargo.
Okay. So
So
that may be a target because I can't imagine they're rolling in dough. I mean, maybe there's more money in Peace than I appreciate, but I think we may want to sort of do a little bit of scanning just to understand that.
I know that the organizations that I'm in one in particular, which is a nonprofit, it doesn't matter that you're a nonprofit. The banks, I think, will still charge, will try.
Yeah.
We've had to change a few times because of the astronomical fees.
I guess
Oh.
another question, we've sort of been like mentally in the space of we need to get a bank account. But when I mean, this is a chartered or this commission is part of the city charter. Has there been any conversation about like line item budgets or those sorts of things? So in organizations that I'm a member of that has sub organizations, right? So student commission or student committees and those sorts of things, rather than them each independently getting a bank account, they get a line item with the budget officer, which I imagine must be happening for the city as well, because different departments are going to spend money on different things and there'll be a bursar or some sort of, the comptroller. So has that conversation happened with the city? I'm realizing as I'm thinking about it that we've sort of jumped straight to treating ourselves as an independent nonprofit, but that's not a zero effort process and it requires the annual reporting. And part of me just wonders, like, we are empowered by the city, we are, supporting or a commission in response to yard. So is there any possibility that we could get a line item where we just have like a budget code, so if money comes to us we have a place to put it that is marked to us, not necessarily that the city would allocate money to us as a budget, but nevertheless we'd have a landing spot for our money to go.
I'm not sure that, that may be a touchy subject, particularly where there's a budget that has to be approved by the alders. And I don't know that, we would have a line item in the budget.
Well,
You
that's
know what
what
I mean?
yeah, I'm not saying a line item in the budget, right? That's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying we get allocated money by the alders, but instead I'm saying if we, um, different offices will have, and I don't know the city finances, so I'm just going based off my experience in higher education, but we'll have, even if I don't have a budget, I might be able to have, if I have money coming in, right, which is what we're talking about, which is the alders would give us $300, or maybe we could have local business owners be giving money on behalf of something. It gives a place for the money to be deposited, right? So rather than us have an independent bank account that has to be managed and that has the risk of fees and those sorts of things, there would just
That's
be.
no, I was going to say that might be an issue that Oliver as chair can discuss with whomever is the finance person in the city. When I spoke with Alex, it sounds as though many of the boards and commissions do have their own bank accounts.
Okay.
Okay. So, if I think your suggestion or what you're suggesting is it's your point's well taken, but that's an issue that should be, taken to the finance person within the city to see if somehow, we can, not necessarily be a line item in the budget, but somehow, as a commission, we can be, on there. I don't know if we can, I have no idea. I don't have any expertise in that, but that may be something that, Oliver, you can go back to Alex and ask him specifically.
So yeah,
Because
like
I think her point is well taken in that respect.
so yeah, like when I spoke with Alex, um he already spoke with the budget office, and that's the way it seems. Like everyone has their own independent accounts, because I was
That's what
hoping
he
that
told
there would be
me.
like
Yeah.
I was hoping that there was like a routing system where you just punch in a couple numbers, and the financial institutions would know how to properly route it. But it seems like everyone has their own quasi-independent finances.
That's what he
And,
informed me, that each board or commission has their own independent account.
um, and a question that I had is, from your experience from these other nonprofits, what's usually the minimum balance requirement to avoid fees that they
Oof.
ask for?
It varies so highly by bank. don't even want to.
Right about that. Some of them are
Mm,
very strict,
I
you
mean,
know.
yeah, so I think, my husband runs a small business, and I think for his account, and of course the accounts are also going to vary. But I think his is something like $1,000. The nonprofit that I work with, when we opened our account, I think, funded it with $500, but that $500 had to stay there. It was like the sort of brick that's holding down, the picnic table blanket or whatever it is. So, that 500 became inflexible. It functionally became the floor of our available funds rather
ah,
than available to us. And I think that's the challenge we're going to face, which is, I certainly don't think we can ask the alders to fund our bank account.
no.
And so we would have to determine, like, how would we get that money to be able to avoid fee-based um, penalties that would eat that money up within a year.
I
It's
mean, worst
very
case scenario.
difficult. It's
Yeah.
very difficult because, as I said, I'm in a lot of nonprofit, organizations, and we've had to multiple times change the banks to avoid,
Yeah.
shopping for lower fees. So, I don't think it matters that, you're a nonprofit. They're going to charge you those fees. At least that has been my experience being in various nonprofit a member of nonprofit organizations. The only thing is, I think but even with my church, the Knights of Peter Claver, Ladies Auxiliary, we still had to shop around, because they were charging us the fees, and so we had to change banks a couple of times.
Okay, because it sounds like the banks just really don't care. As long as they make their money, they don't care how it happens. Um, okay, so I think that's everything for, oh wait, almost forgot. So one last thing for finance, I was working on the second draft of the fiscal discipline rules. So mostly just going through the initial piece and just clarifying what our policies were for different events and the procedures that we would follow in each one. For the most part, I was keeping it simple with the understanding that the treasurer will be responsible for recording all of the transactions going to and from the account. They would bundle up the transactions, make sure that they were submitted once a week, and then once a month preferably before the meeting, the finance chair would review the transactions and just make sure that everything's kosher. Okay, so it is 7:27. Let's move on to research. Here. Okay, so from research, Angelina, do you have anything for us?
Hello.
Yeah.
So for research, I just been working on the mapping project and trying to identify some nonprofits that we could start with when we're doing, if we decide to move forward with this mapping resources initiative to get out to our families and youth communities. That was shared in my report. And that's what I was working on under research.
Okay. Did Radia get a chance to help you out with that at all?
No, we didn't connect on that piece. We didn't get a chance to connect to do that. However, she did share some, and I don't know if you included it or if she submitted a report. She did share some stats on youth within City of New Haven, and I believe that she submitted that report to you.
Okay. We'll look for it, just making sure. Did you guys send the reports to my personal email or to the Youth Commission email?
I sent my report to your personal email and to Erica and asked her to share it with the youth.
Okay. Okay,
I'm
that one
not
I remember.
I'm not sure where she submitted her report. I haven't used the Youth Commission email yet. I'll keep that in mind when sending the report.
Yeah, so just to make it easier for FOIA compliance, I'd like for everyone to send all correspondence to the Youth Commission Gmail account, so everything's all in one spot.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
No
thanks.
prob.
On the research, Oliver, if I have some information on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I did a little research myself regarding youth surveys, and the whoever's on the research committee, I know Angelina's the chair. Just be mindful that in doing those surveys, there are strict requirements regarding anonymity and privacy and consent from the parents. And my it the doing of the survey based on my research is an to me it seems I'm not an expert on it, but it seems to me that it requires an expert. I mean, you can't just have anybody generating questions to be submitted to youth without, as my research revealed, strict anonymity anonymity and also consent from the parents. That is a question I would strongly suggest, just to prevent any kind of exposure to liability that be posed to the corporation counsel, and also any questions that are developed be submitted to the corporation counsel for review, because God forbid, you don't want to expose any of us individually to any kind of liability, and you certainly don't want to expose the city or the mayor to any kind of liability. The other suggestion I have is, because the youth um, and recreation are close with, they have a group of youth that they deal with. It may be easier to, maybe survey 100 to 200 youth that are, that they deal with, instead of trying to do a citywide survey. That's a big project. And then, have the data analyzed from that. And I had a question for Dr. Holzer regarding, because unless I misunderstood, I thought you were an expert or familiar with these youth surveys. And I know you had mentioned something about, students analyzing the data, but in terms of framing and the questions, sending out the questions, and to avoid any, exposure to liability because of privacy issues, I thought maybe you can, um, speak on that, because I got the impression that you had done this before, and maybe that was a misimpression on my part.
Yeah, no, thank you, Judge Wilson. I actually, this is part of why I raised the issue I raised before our summer break about the sort of the thought about doing a survey. It's a two-pronged question. So
Right.
there are human subjects research protections that govern research of the type that we would be collecting. And children are a protected class within that. And I have not surveyed youth myself, but I have built surveys and I have worked on sort of distributing them and those sorts of things. It's even my area of expertise in that space is pretty preliminary relative to the people who do it every day. And so I don't want to overstate my familiarity and my expertise in that space. I don't feel like I would, that I would trust myself to be independently responsible for that on behalf of the commission, is what I'm saying. But I do know, there are some ways that we can design a survey that would allow us to avoid aspects of the human subject research protections because they are not defined as human subjects research or they are exempt under federal regulations. I think, however, we will likely run up against school systems, even if we're within the bounds of the rules, they might feel very leery about it, just because they don't want to face the questions.
They don't
You
want
know,
to face liability either.
right. Well, yeah,
For
I mean,
yeah,
and
yeah.
not being found liable usually requires you having gone through a process of being sued, and that's something that a lot of school systems and a lot of schools will just preemptively avoid, right? So I think we have the combined challenge of we have the actual rules that we have to stay within, and then we have the shadow rules that are governed by people just sort of not wanting to be bothered. Um, and that's partly why, while I totally understand where the impetus to survey the youth comes from, and especially like I feel very strongly about the obligation this commission has to produce a report on the youth. I just am very concerned that, to your point, Judge Wilson, and to Rania's point, that she sent in the email, a survey of students in schools will necessarily miss the neediest students who are suffering from absenteeism or experiencing absenteeism because they just aren't showing up to respond to the surveys. And so if we're like, depending on what our goal is, that won't even get us towards our goal if we're trying to project the experience of youth who aren't, in stable homes with parents who are making sure they're going to school, who are going to school, continuously or substantially. So we run that risk of non-representation. And then we just run the risk of how do we design a legally safe survey without a technically savvy survey designer among the commission. Honestly, I would love, especially with this, what feels to me like sort of more intimate conversations with the mayor's office, the conversations with Alex and those sorts of things, figuring out like how much of a priority is this for the city? Because if it's a priority for the
Good
city, and
question. Good question.
if we're not just acting as a commission, as commissioners, right? Because that's really how we're acting right now. Like we feel empowered as commissioners to do this, but I don't necessarily feel like we have the cover from the city saying they want it, they're pulling it. If they're pulling
That's
it,
true.
then we can have different conversations about, is there money? Can we build partnerships, right? Like Yale is right there, Southern's right there. We have individuals who might work with us on something that is more robust, that has the coverage of the Yale IRB or the Southern IRB, right? This is what I was sort of trying to hint at when I talked to Mark Abrams and those sorts of things, or Mark Abram at Data Haven. So, part of the reason he suggested what he did, which is focusing our report on sort of existing agency data collection, is to go back to what Judge Wilson was saying, which is if Yard already collects data, can we analyze that data in a way that contributes to a report? Or could we expand our focus, because we are the youth commission for the city of New Haven, and think about asking for youth involved programming, like a report on youth involved programming, a sort of even just a baseline report, who's participating in programming that the city puts out, right? What are the programs? And this goes to Angelina's point about almost like a directory, right? A directory of programs just to inform the community about the programs. I don't want to duplicate what Yard is already doing in terms of their outreach and their Facebook accounts and various ways that they're getting in touch with the community. But I really do think that any survey we build without city endorsement and frankly, probably financial support and partnership just isn't really going to meet the needs of the youth. And I'm worried about us doing it in a way that, to Judge Wilson's point, exposes us individually or as a commission, just a potential
Liability.
to liability threats, reputational threats, those sorts of
Correct.
things.
Yeah.
I want to do it well, is really what I'm saying. And I know that can sometimes sound like I don't want to do it at all. It's just, I want to make sure as we do it that we're doing it fully aware of what doing it requires.
Another alternative, because I like the idea of youth surveys, and as you said, Commissioner Holzer, that, it's not like we want to do it, but we want to do it well and we want to do it legally. so that there's no exposure is, I mean, maybe one way is to survey the counselors of the various high schools to give us an idea of, where do they see the need is, with when they see the students that they teach, the students that they counsel, even school social workers. That's not naming any names. I would still run it by corporation counsel. That's not naming any names, but maybe we can find out, and that would from youth counselors and from teachers, so that we get some feedback, get that analyzed, and then we can work on, what are the most prevalent issues that, counselors and teachers who see the youth every day, what do they see? What do they think needs to happen in the city for us to deal with these issues? And that may be one way to get around any privacy issues. They don't have to name names. They're just going on their experience as teachers and as social work counselors in the school. I would still run everything by corporation counsel.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the one benefit, I mean, if we're looking for sort of adult or sort of expert perspectives on youth, that would potentially address that. Most likely, though I am not an IRB by myself, but most likely an IRB would deem that not human subjects research or exempt, which would absolve us of some of the heavy duty restrictions on consent and those sorts of things. We would
Right.
likely still
Oh,
want
right,
to
because
that.
yeah, but if how about if it's general questions, but not specific to the students that they're teaching or counseling, but
Yeah,
general questions as a school social worker or a teacher, what do you generally, what are the issues that you generally see every day? That might help us get around. Again, I would run it by corp counsel.
yeah. I want to be clear that we would have corp counsel, but also we would likely want to identify an IRB that would review it on our behalf, because they're not just dealing
What's
with.
IRB? I'm
Sorry,
not
yeah. So it's an institutional review board.
okay.
And that is the federally mandated body that all institutions conducting human subjects research must maintain connection to. They may have one in-house, or there are some professional IRB organizations that you can contract with.
Mhm.
Um, so Yale has one, Southern has one, any place where people are conducting human subjects research, because we'd be asking about professional experience, as long as we're not
Yes,
asking them
yes,
anything that would sort of threaten their reputations, we're not telling their boss what their responses are, those
right,
sorts of things, that
right.
would be deemed most likely either exempt or not human subjects research, because
Okay.
we're asking them to report on their work rather than report on what's called PHI, which is personal health information or private
Mhm,
health information.
mhm,
So I that could be an avenue to get around it. It would still run the risk that their perspective is based on a school environment. And so
mhm,
while they may be aware of people who are sort of coming in and out of the school environment, we
mhm,
nevertheless may miss out on the youth experience that is really chronically out of school.
mhm.
And that may just be something that we're willing to take on. I just really want to make sure when we represent our findings, we are very aware that that's what we're saying.
Okay.
It takes an expert to do this, just to be realistic about it. Um, Oliver, that it's not the type of thing that we can just do as people that are lay people to that particular expertise. So we're going to have to think about that. Maybe, as I said, Corp Counsel can come in and give us some guidance on that. Do you know an IRB person, um, Commissioner Holzer, that can talk to us about that? Because I think the surveys are important. I think
Yeah.
I think that was that's a good idea to do, as Oliver suggested earlier on, but it's not an easy task.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do have my background is actually in research ethics, not specifically IRB, but I am very familiar with it. But I can also see if there's someone, maybe we could connect with the Yale chair of the IRB. I don't know if the UNH chair of the IRB would feel as comfortable talking about it based on his background. maybe Southern, any of those institutions would likely have someone who would be able to speak to us.
Can
We just need to build
Angelina
the list.
connect with you on that, and you two can talk
Sure.
about how to,
Happy
you
to,
know,
yeah.
go forward with that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Because I do like the idea which Oliver brought up earlier on, way back about the surveys. I think that's something that we probably should do. But I also like your point is does the city want this? Does the mayor, is that something that he wants us to do and is going to endorse?
Yeah. Or even use, right? I mean, my understanding is the report is meant to
That's
be
correct. Yep.
a report to the city and, members of the city, citizens of the city, residents in the city, but also the person who's, the executive leader of the city. I think we would want to make sure that we have that established.
That's right. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so as a plan of action, we can reach out to the IRB of either Southern or Yale, see if they're willing to come down and speak. If not, then this can just be, I guess, correspondence with the research committee members. And then from there, we can figure out exactly like what is the demand for this then. So if it's going to come from the mayor's office or it's going to come from the board of alders, and in the meantime, we'll keep plugging away at mapping these youth related organizations. So we can start out with Yard, see. I tried asking before to see what data was available, and really it wasn't anything I want to say comprehensive. It was just a list of some of the organizations. You'd still have to go through just beat by beat and just find out if they're doing anything, if they're active, etc. But yeah, so let me make a note. We'll reach out to the IRBs of both schools and see if they're willing to come down and talk.
And I would even suggest that corp counsel with respect to the legal aspect of it, also speak to us.
Okay, so let's see if we can schedule it so both of them are present at the same time so they can answer questions, bounce things off each other so we have a better idea of what we're looking at going forward.
Oliver, do you want to target a specific meeting for that, like December, January, February? I tend to be sort of like, let's get on it right now, but I know that we might already have December.
Yeah, December is not going to happen.
Okay.
I know that everyone's going to be busy with the holidays because with the third Thursday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's literally the week before Christmas. So
Yeah. We'll all bring our eggnog to the commission meeting.
mhm. So yeah, I expect a lot of people to either just be gone on vacation or just do whatever. So in terms of scheduling this meeting between Corp Council and the IRB, January if we're lucky, probably February, since we're trying to get two different groups to make the time to meet at the same time.
Well, I'll target January. We can, Angelina and I can talk about it too, but I'm thinking maybe we target January and then we offer February as a backup.
Okay, that works.
Because I know we're sort of slow on this report as it stands. So I'd love for us to have a plan for it at the very least.
And Oliver, I can help. Just let me know the date. Because I know Pat King, the Corporation Counsel. I've already been in touch with her. Let me know the date, what month, and I can, help to facilitate that and get it scheduled. Because there are other FOIA issues too that I want them to address that I think they should redo.
What was that? Did you just cut out or?
No, what I said was, yeah, I must have muted myself before I finished. Sorry about that. Let me know if you need me to facilitate scheduling that meeting because I know the Corp Counsel. I've reached out to her in the past. I've reached out to her recently. So if you need me to let me know what month you want, so I can let her know what month, because she's gonna have whatever attorney covers youth commission, she would assign it to that attorney.
Oh, there's a specialist like that's just dealing with
She doesn't, each attorney in the court counsel's office are assigned to different, departments, different, there may be a litigation, there may be, and I know Attorney Alexiadis, when he came to give us the training on FOIA, I believe there's another attorney that's assigned to Youth Commission, but Attorney Alexiadis came on that particular date. So they do different tasks. The different attorneys, assistant corporation counsel, they have different tasks and they're assigned to different commissions.
Okay. So yeah, I'll definitely keep you in the loop. So I guess this can start off with research committee reaching out to the IRBs, and then once we have their contact info, I could put everyone into a group email. Okay, so I guess we can wrap that up for research. So now it is 7:50 for outreach. So Stephen, I know with McElmenah resigning last month, did you get a chance to reach out to the other outreach committee members?
Hi, Oliver. No, I haven't talked to anyone. I have been working by myself.
Okay, because
Yeah.
Sebastian, yeah, it looks like Sebastian's the other person in the commission. Okay, so
I
what do you
sent.
have for us?
Yeah. Well, right now we already have the quotes from possible places where the forum call happened. I sent options to the mail, so now we just need to decide which location we will use. Um, I'm also planning to meet with a small marketing agency to see how they could help with the event. Um, for now, I'm just waiting for some replies from the email so we can keep moving forward.
Yeah, I remember where out of the options, it seemed like the co-op high school was going to be the easiest one to work with.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that. I
The
sent
only issue,
the email
yeah,
with all my. Yeah, I don't know
yeah,
if
you were
you
saying?
if you saw the last email that I sent or not yet.
Uh, yeah, because like okay, so within the commission, or maybe we could just make it bring it to the general vote. We'll just have to decide which venue, but so far, um, co-op was the easiest one. Jessica, did you get a chance to take a look at it, or did I manage to CC you in this one?
I looked at the email. I didn't go any deeper. I'm sorry about that. It's that time of semester. Um, so my understanding is we're looking for a venue for the um words are escaping me for the upcoming symposium, right?
No, this was for the
No.
original Youth Issues Forum.
Oh yeah. That's what I think I'm using symposium to mean the same thing. So, but the upcoming forum that we're planning for 2026, right? May of 26.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the email about co-op. I did not go any deeper to evaluate. Is there a specific something you'd like me to look at? I can open it right now.
I think let me bring it up because I think we had a question about how they give different rates based off of the class of the business. And I was wondering if our status as the youth commission gives us a better rate.
Mm. Okay.
Mm. And I have a question. So this is the Youth Issues Forum. that's scheduled for May. I guess, I don't know. I mean, I've been to most of the meetings, but I don't recall that coming up. I don't, so because if in fact I'm not clear on that, and when we get to the appropriate agenda item, you may be able to clarify. I'm not sure, and I saw in the paper where the November 5th meeting of the Youth Services Committee that you represented to the youth, to the alders, that we were going to have the youth symposium on gun violence and mental health, Oliver. But keep in mind, and I think Angelina and I, represented this, that we are looking at a date in May for that youth symposium, if in fact that's still going to happen, because I'm not clear on that in light of the quote unquote emergency meeting of November 6th. But I'm not aware of the youth forum, youth issues forum, and that taking place in May. Because if we're going to do a youth symposium in May, and then we have a youth issues in May, is that going to be in the, is that youth issues forum going to be, in the morning, in the evening, because it's going to conflict with what we're trying to do. If in fact, and I got mixed messages on the November 6th meeting, if in fact we're going to do the youth symposium on gun violence and mental health.
So the Youth Issues Forum is in relation to the task that I assigned for outreach back in January. So all of this was to prepare for a proposal that could be used to shop around for the forum. So this dates all the way back to the beginning of the year.
It may date back to January when you proposed or recommended that it be done. But Angelina and I spoke very clearly when we talked about the youth symposium, the date that we had in mind. And if you're talking about doing a youth issues forum in May, and we have a symposium, which I'm still not clear on whether or not you're in approval of doing it, I don't think that that both should be done in May. It should be either one or the other. And that's up to the commission what they want to do. I have no problem with helping out on the youth forums issue if that's the way you want to go. And but it was represented, and you were quoted in the paper as saying that we were going to, and Rendente, because I want to get in touch with him. Rendente clearly said he wanted to do that. And I think that there's an expectation that a youth symposium on gun violence and mental health is going, to take place. And it was clearly stated in the paper. I read it that Angelina and I were spearheading that. I just need clarification. I'm willing to, do whatever I need to do to help Stephen on the youth forum, but I need to know, which is it we're going to do. We've represented publicly that we're going to do a youth forum on gun violence and mental health. And I've had community people questioning me about what we are doing, what YARD is doing with respect to this gun violence. So, but I'm willing to do whatever the consensus is. If you need me to help you out on the youth forum issues, I will do that. I just need clarification on what I'm to do. But keep in mind that publicly you indicated to the committee, the Board of Alders Youth Services Committee, that Angelina and I were working. Now, if you want us to change the date, maybe we can do that. And then all hands on deck with Stephen to help him with the youth forum. But
And
we
in
need
that
to be
case,
clear. We need to be clear on that.
okay. So in that case, the priority is the forum, since that's what I had assigned at the beginning of the year.
That may be what you have assigned during the year, but I'm just saying it wasn't clear, because you also indicated that you were, prior to November 6th, that you were it appeared that you were in approval or that you endorsed a youth forum and you said it publicly and it was published in the newspaper that that was going to be done. Now, we certainly can change the
I'm
date.
sorry, really quickly, Ms. Robbins, I'm using the word forum and symposium interchangeably.
I'm
So I want
sorry. I'm saying the youth. What? I'm sorry. Let me be clear.
symposium.
My apologies. Let me be
Yep.
clear. The youth forum, the youth issues forum, is what Stephen in part is part of outreach. The youth symposium on gun violence and mental health was endorsed by you, Oliver, last year. Because I brought that up a while, I brought that up a while ago before January. I'm willing to do whatever it is you folks need me to do. If but it has been publicly stated by you, Oliver, in quotes. I got the article here that we were going to, and Rendente, who's an alder, really wanted to be a part of that. He said it in the article, that, and you said that Angelina and I were spearheading it. You represented that to the Youth Services Committee, the Board of Alders Youth Services Committee. We can always still do that. Doesn't have to be May. I'm willing to get on Steve's committee and work with him on the forum. He's chairing that. I'm willing to put all hands on deck on that, and we can put off the symposium until another time. But keep in mind that when you represent, particularly when my name is put on it as an appellate court judge, when you represent publicly that I'm spearheading something, then I feel like compelled that I have to do it. We can change the date. I think we can change the date and make it perhaps for the fall, a year from now, fall of 2026. But I'm willing to do whatever it is the consensus is, and I'm willing to work with Stephen to make sure that the forum, if that's the priority, that the forum goes forward.
Okay,
Oliver,
Jessica.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jessica.
Angelina, go for it.
I just wanted to also add that the symposium was something you spoke about before we went on summer break, which is how we ended up at Quinnipiac Social Justice Forum, or the Justice Forum that Judge Wilson made us aware of. And the reason why we went there was so that we can see how that was done, so that the Youth Commission can then go on to do a youth symposium. This is the first time that I'm even hearing the term youth forum. I missed last meeting, so I don't know if you brought it up, but I haven't heard that term before. And outreach for some time, there was no one spearheading that subcommittee. So I just like a little more information on, that when that came into fruition as something that we were working toward, because I've never heard that term before. And again, just like Judge Wilson said, you went on record and you put our name before the Board of Alders, stating that we were spearheading a youth symposium. So therefore, how I take that is that the Youth Commission is going to be working toward making this happen. Because in our prior meetings, the conversation was around, was this something we were going to do? And if everyone was going to be involved, and we made it very clear that this is something that cannot happen with one or two people. We need all hands on deck. And then November 5th, it goes before the Board of Alders, and it's put out there that this is happening, and our names are mentioned. So I'd like just some clarification around that as well, and how that conversation came up.
So in terms of clarification, ever since January, when we first established the committees, each of the committees had two tasks. From the very beginning, one of the two tasks for outreach was the Youth Issues Forum. I brought that up multiple times, and each time there was a personnel change within the commission, within the committees, I sent out a group email to all of the outreach members, that's what they would be working on. The priority has always been the proposal for the Youth Issues Forum within outreach.
But why wasn't that brought up before the Board of Alders Youth Services Committee? I just want to be very clear, because as a judge, I'm under a lot of scrutiny. My reputation is on the line, and I have maintained my reputation, and that's why I'm where I am now on the second highest court in the state of Connecticut. So if you're going to use my name, okay, to say that I'm spearheading something, then, please make sure that I'm spearheading it and it's going to get done. Now, that doesn't mean we can't do a youth symposium. I'm fair. We can put that to the side. That's not the issue. And I'll work with Stephen on the issues forum. But please keep in mind because there's reporters there, they're taking notes. I know the deal as a judge being confirmed. There are reporters there. Please do not use my name unless I know that, this is something that's going to go forward, and we have to do it as far as I'm concerned, because you've represented to the Board of Alders and it is published in the newspaper that we're going to do it. I'm willing, though, to step back. Let's work. We can work on it the fall of 2026. And Stephen, you can email me and I'll work with you on the issues forum. But please just make sure that my name is not willy-nilly used to, I just want to make sure, because, I feel compelled and obligated to do this forum. We have, because you represented to the Youth Services Committee of the Board of Alders that we were going to do it. Timing to me is okay. I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and work with Stephen to get the forum done. And I will even contact folks to help out that can come in. Stephen, let me know who you need, what you need, what professionals you need to come in to do it, and I'll work with you on that.
Question really quickly, because it sounds like it's a moot point that's coming up right now, and health forums and symposiums are similar but distinct, right? In a sense that a forum is more broad and a symposium is more specialized and specific. So if I understand Judge Robbins correctly, the symposium was supposed to be focused on gun violence and mental health. I'm just curious. I hear two things being said at the same time, and one thing is not being addressed. It is very clear, Chair, that you share that that the health of the Youth Issues Forum was articulated in January of this year, and it was reiterated throughout the year. In addressing Judge Robbins' statement about proposing a youth symposium instead before the board of Alders, I'm just curious, is there no opportunity to pivot, like as a commission and working together, and a forum and a symposium being so much alike? Is there no opportunity to pivot and to stand on what was proposed before the Board of Alders and do a youth symposium? I'm not saying that a youth forum is not helpful or a supportive idea, but I mean, again, from what I'm hearing, it is very clear that the forum was articulated and reiterated, but I didn't hear anything about the youth symposium being proposed before the Board of Alders being addressed.
The symposium was not proposed before the Board of Alders, but the symposium was proposed and it was very clearly articulated before the commission. But I think your point is outstanding. I think there can be a combination of both the symposium and mental health, because the way you can do it is the youth forum issues that we discuss can be framed around gun violence and mental health. Outstanding, Yaxandria. Outstanding recommendation.
I agree, Judge Robbins. It can absolutely be folded into one another, especially because I think that I think it sounds like it's boiling down to misunderstanding. I mean, even earlier, someone like interchangeably used forum and symposium, and both of the dates happen to be in May. So I think, if we give ourselves a little grace, there was some misunderstanding. How can we pivot and accommodate that these things are really a lot alike?
I agree with you on that. And, perhaps Angelina and I and Stephen and others who are on the outreach committee can, and Stephen, you're the chair, so let us know when you want to, discuss these issues. And I have a lot of resources. So you just, as chair, you let me know how you want to do it. I'm going to step back and let you do it. But I think that Commissioner Diaz makes an excellent point that we can combine the two and and do it in that light. And I'll do whatever it is you need me to do, Stephen. You're just gonna have to inform me of what you need me to do. Angelina, I think, would be on board with that. I can't speak for her, but we can combine our efforts to try to get this done, and we can also include issues relating to gun violence. And because I've had community people come up to me and I that have asked me, what is the youth commission doing? What is youth and recreation doing? And I tell them, come to the meetings. Come to the youth commission meetings, give your ideas, give your input, any concerns you have, bring them to the commission meetings. If you have concerns about what Yard is not doing, bring them to Director Bush. But there are people that have come up to me and complained, and I'm not going to side with their complaints. I'm going to tell them come and voice their complaints and concerns, particularly when the 15-year-old got killed. Okay, but I'm willing to work with you, Stephen. I'm going to follow your lead, so I'll wait to hear from you.
Yes, thank you. I think if we work together, we can do the things work well. So yeah, I can send you all the information about the forum and what I have and the next steps, and we can work in that.
Is this going to be in the evening or during the day? Because I can't do it during the day. I'm up in Hartford hearing appellate hearings.
So the event, according to what we have set up for the proposal, is going to be an all-day affair. Let me.
Oh, I can make arrangements to take off that day. Okay, I'm willing to do that.
Were you targeting it on a weekend, especially because if we're thinking about a school?
Yeah. So wait, let me bring up the proposal.
Stephen, I just want to go on the record that yes, I will
Here it is.
support you in any way. So if you can include me in that email for the forum, because it's all about the youth.
Okay. Yeah. So third draft so far, it's going to be split into 4 panels. So first one was going to be social issues. So that was family dynamics, outlaw status, and social capital. Second panel was going to cover civic issues, so transient populations, violence prevention, and conflict resolution. Panel 3 is academic issues, entrenched illiteracy, parental engagement, and educational standards. And the fourth and final panel was economic issues, public services, corporate regulations, and business incentives. So each panel would take about 90 minutes to 2 hours, and we would have multiple representatives or speakers that would be involved in the subject and just talking about how they can work together, how they impact the youth, et cetera, et cetera.
So, Oliver, let me just understand the proposal that you have, which I have in my email as well. That has not been informed by the conversation that was happening over the summer between Judge Wilson and Angelina, correct?
No, that was internal to outreach.
Okay. So I think it would be important for us, especially, I'll admit having sort of been a little disconnected from that particular effort just because of my own life, I was under the impression they were the same. I have been working under the impression that there's been conversations I haven't been a part of that made them the same thing. So obviously I wasn't correct about that, and I learned that tonight. But I think it would be good for us just to sort of all come together, right? And see the elements that were that Judge Wilson and Angelina Wilson worked on, and combine and identify. And I think maybe that should be a priority for our December meeting, which is to take the proposal in its current form and discuss it and make some final decisions, because that'll give us about 6 months to plan it.
That's right.
And so leveraging, our speakers, all of these things will require us, I assume, to bring in some speakers. And I saw the list of names, but I assume that that's just provisional. None of those people have agreed in any fashion. We are just at the beginning stages of trying to build those relationships and scheduling them for an event, right?
Yeah, so the whole point of this proposal is so we have something to shop around. So if we talk to these people, then they have enough concrete information, like where's it going to be? When's it going to happen? How long is it going to be? Will there be catering? Will there be parking or any other site related or venue related issues they have issues with, and then from there they can give us the response whether or not they want to show up or not.
So can I ask a procedural question about the high school that's in there? The Conti West, is that's the one, right? It's not community, right? So I should pull it up.
Are you referring to the symposium or the forum?
The proposal that Oliver sent out. So this
The
Okay.
forum. I didn't see the proposals, and Steven's going to send it to me.
Yeah, so I think that's been going around sort of just within outreach, which I have visibility into, though I haven't been active in. So I think the first thing we need to do is just sort of see. It sounds to me, frankly, Alexandra, I think hit the nail on the head, which is it sounds like we're coming at the same problem two somewhat different ways, but there's probably 90% overlap, so that we can find agreement of how to do all the things and meet the obligation of having already told the alders something's happening, and to make sure that reputational, for all of us on the youth commission, that reputation is maintained, because integrity is a key component of sort of why I'm here as well. So it strikes me that what we need to do is we just need to square up the plans and make sure everybody's in agreement and fully aware, rather than keeping it an outreach, that this really comes to the whole commission at least once.
Excellent.
Not
Yeah.
from this point forward, like at least as a point to sort of decide, set a date or set a couple of dates that we'll leave the outreach workers, and I'm happy to help out with that to the degree I'm able. But if outreach committee wants to take the lead on some of that, that's fine. But I think we all need to be fully aware of it.
I agree. I agree.
Yes, we don't run up against this again.
Yeah. And Angelina and I have, whatever school you're going with, if you've reached out, Stephen, but understand, instead of reinventing Angelina and I have a long-term relationship through the African American Women's Summit with the help me with the school, Angelina, with Amistad.
High School. Yes.
Achievement First. In fact, we're going to do the summit and the African American Women's Summit and the youth portion of that summit at Achievement First. We have a very, very good relationship with Mr. Thibodeau, and we also have a relationship with the Q House. So, I'm willing to reach out. Angelina's willing to reach out to avoid reinventing the wheel. Thibodeau knows us, and he has been very gracious to us. We've been there quite a few years in a row with him. And then Yakita Robinson from the Q House, who can probably also, because she's with LEAP, can make sure that the kids from LEAP also get involved. So I'm just saying to, utilize the resources. Angelina and I can, reach out, and we'll talk to Stephen about that. But I think Commissioner Holster's point is very well taken, that, to kind of work together to make this, work. Because I did not, and it could be because it was within outreach that I didn't get. I'm not on the outreach committee, so that's why I didn't get the email. But Stephen, I'm leaving it up to you. You're the chair. I'll go whatever you want me to do. Angelina, what and I to do, let us know, but you got to communicate with us to let us know.
Sure,
And it
thank you.
needs to be all the commissioners, on deck with that, because it's a lot of work. Angelina and I have done it through African American Women's Summit. It is a lot of work.
It is. It's a
The
lot of work.
food,
Yes.
the food aspect, you need people who can handle the food. We did letters to different food places to get donations for food. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A
It's a
lot
lot of
of
work,
work.
the planning, and then making it happen the day of. So we need everybody's hands on. It's a lot of work, but it's doable. We have a great number of commissioners who are workers and who are brilliant, so we can do it. So
And Judge,
You're on
You muted
mute.
yourself.
You muted.
if I
I'm
could
sorry. Judge Wood, to piggyback on what Judge Wilson said, that we need all commissioner hands on deck. To reiterate what Jess said, was that everyone also needs to be informed as a collective. As a new commissioner, Chair, I reviewed all of the subcommittees, and my expertise is like broad, so I can fit anywhere. It's just where is the need? Wherever the need is, I'll show up in that capacity.
Okay. So in terms of immediate need, Robin Wilson is the only one in the membership committee. Research has at least two. Outreach has
Were you talking
at least
about,
two.
I just need clarification from Commissioner Diaz. Were you talking about immediate need on outreach committee or immediate need on all of the committees?
In the subcommittees in general,
Okay.
my formal career right now is in development and finance, so funding acquisition, but my total background is broad. Like, it covers all of the different subcommittees, so wherever the need is. And I think the chair was just sharing that, like, membership only has one person. Wherever the need is, I'm going, you can assign me to that subcommittee. But as far as the work goes for the forum, symposium, whatever you want to call it, I'm willing to show up and do anything, not just stuff related to membership.
Chair Oliver,
Mhm.
this is Commissioner Angelina. I have to sign off. I have to go to another meeting. It started at 8 o'clock. I thought it would be almost done, so I'm like 20 minutes late for another meeting. I will read the notes for anything that I've missed. Is that okay? May I be excused?
Yes, you may be excused.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Have a good one.
You too. Good night.
So Oliver, if the membership subcommittee is somewhere that needs the reinforcement, I'm glad to show up here.
Okay. And with that, okay, so the next step will be, so Stephen, you'll share what's available within outreach with Robin and Angelina. Jessica, I guess you can kind of oversee that. And if they have any other questions, or if you need more clarification, just reach out to me. So let's jump on to membership committee reports. So it's 8:23.
My membership report was also submitted to Erica, which was distributed to all of the commissioners, but I'll keep in mind of the Gmail account to send the report uh to the Gmail account. The report, I'm not going to read from it, but I went over the specific ordinance provision that governs membership and appointments by the mayor. Currently, we have 12 members, one, because I did not count Sebastian, whose term has already expired. And there was another gentleman, I can't remember, whose term has already expired. So right now we have 12 members. One, who is Rania, is a youth representative. I had also sent out, and I had wanted to recommend Judge Stone last year, but because we were trying to get a balance of, the party balance on the commission, I had her wait. But this year she has agreed to serve. She has put in her application. Judge Stone was appointed to the bench 2 years ago. She is a graduate of Yale University and Georgetown Law. She was a lead counselor with Tommy Vale, who was in the position that Erica was in when I was on the commission, and who now is director of the elderly services. But she worked with, she was a counselor with Tommy at LEAP, and is very interested in the youth, committed to the, to the youth. And her application has been submitted to the mayor, just waiting for, her, to see if she's going to be appointed. I can't see why she would not. And I have that, that's the only member that I have. I had asked you, Oliver, that you had said you wanted to submit some names, and I had asked you to let me know who those folks were as membership chair, so that I could reach out to them, and I would be more than happy to submit the link to them, as I did with Judge Stone, to complete the application online. But I didn't hear back from you. I don't know if you did that yourself or not, and that's fine. And then I also pointed out in my report that commissioners should be mindful that under the bylaws, if you have, I think it's 4 unexcused absences,
Three or
that will
more.
be, I'm sorry, 3 unexcused absences that will be deemed, basically a resignation from the board. That's the end of my report.
Okay. Jot that down. And yeah, just for membership, I didn't really do too much on this. I did think of trying to address a lot of the churn and the turnover. So I guess just to bring this up now, I was wondering if we could make an orientation slideshow, just something very brief, like maybe 4 or 5 slides. So whenever we have a new member that comes onto the commission in the future, that they already know what to do, who to talk to, if they have any common questions or anything. Um, there's like an FAQ available right there. So that way I want to I want to deal with any potential feeling of new members being lost, or if they're just being thrown into the thick of it without getting a chance to learn more about what they should do and how they should take care of it. So there's nothing concrete. I was just spitballing some notes on what could go in such a an orientation packet. But yeah,
If the thing is that if you, and I understand, what you're saying. I'm just thinking of we just inducted 13 new members in an organization, that I am in. And if you have specific ideas, and if as chair, because as I indicated on November 6th, technically you sit ad hoc, but I understand that's impossible. If you want to come up with something to submit to me, I don't do the PowerPoints, or
Um,
that's something that if somebody can help me do that, if Commissioner Diaz can help do that, that would be
Yeah, so
fine.
Judge Wilson, I actually, as someone who was new to the board, literally before I got on this meeting, spent time reading all the documents, including the code of ethics, the bylaws, the ordinances, and compiling them for myself so that I could
Oh, that's even
understand.
better.
So I'm happy to put all of that in a slide and then share it with you, Judge Wilson, for your
Okay,
review.
good.
Yeah,
If
that's
you willing,
perfect.
because I don't know how to do the slide thing. I
That's
have
fine.
clerks that do that for me for the Judges Institute. So if you can put that in a slide for me, then that will be something that I will have, that I can send out to members, and commission members need to be mindful. I can't send out anything unless I have the names and contact information of new members to send it to. So if you can put together that slide, Commissioner Diaz, that would be wonderful.
It'll be done tomorrow, and I'll send it to you and Oliver for review, just in case there's anything that I may have missed.
Perfect.
Sure, that would be
But it'll
great.
be
Thank you.
short
I
and
appreciate
concise,
that.
just like you said. 5 slides, very clear key notes that they should know.
Okay, and just like an FAQ of like think back to some of the more, I guess, more critical questions that you had, that until you filled in the gaps and with your research, that until you understood that, you didn't really, you had issues with the youth commission. Sorry to phrase it as like a weird question, but
No, no,
kind of
no.
just work
Sounds good.
backwards from that.
Yeah, it
Okay.
sounds good. I actually so I'm a part of the emerging leaders of color cohort with the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven right now. We actually just took a training yesterday on board structure and governance and what a good board looks like, or a commission. So it was super helpful for me to understand what I didn't understand. So I'll make sure that I get that over to you guys tomorrow.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. So we'll end membership committee there. Okay, so old business, I'll blow through this as quickly as possible. It is 8:31. So originally, I planned to have a representative from Emerge CT. He had a scheduling conflict and wasn't able to make it. Then we had the new member introduction, which was you, Yexenia. But I think, yeah, you had issues where you didn't get the Zoom link, or you didn't get the email notification. And then secretary appointments. So that was just a recap of Kenneth. He resigned from the youth commission, moved to Wallingford, and essentially we're in a holding pattern now where I'll continue with the secretary duties, but when Rania finally gets reclassified to being a commissioner, then she volunteered to take over the secretary position. So that's up to the Board of Alders. And then lastly, for the Youth Services Committee meeting, so Alder Edwards spoke about the now past meeting where she wanted to get a bunch of youth related organizations before the Board of Alders and essentially give a report on what they're doing, what are their goals, if there were any way for the Board of Alders to provide some legislative assistance, et cetera, et cetera. For the most part, it was very much a casual environment. Myself, so Ronnie and I went, and it was mostly just a simple reporting of like what we are and what we're up to. Okay, now 8:32, new business. So the review of the emergency meeting. Bring up my notes. Okay. So the emergency meeting was held last week on the 13th. Um, this was not a public meeting, so this wasn't like general youth commission business. This was a meeting that had been called by yard leadership because they were concerned about the lack of activity coming within the youth commission. So it was myself, Robin, and really mostly just the leadership of Yard that were in attendance. So the main thing,
I thought they were youth commissioners. You talking about the November 6th meeting? I thought they
this
were youth
was
commissioners.
there were a couple others, but I didn't take those notes. I can review the footage later.
Oh, at the emergency meeting? Yeah, there
Yeah.
were many. There were many of the
Right.
commissioners.
Yeah.
Right. That's okay. I
I
was
was
getting
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Angelina was there. Alexandria was there.
Yeah, so that was her first actual, I think that was her first actual appearance.
There was more than a quorum of commissioners there, and it was a commission meeting. I'll get to that when at on the FOIA issue.
Right. But yeah, it just comes back down to the same issues of poor attendance, uh, having to deal with multiple officer roles, and just the overall difficulty of trying to coordinate activity in what is essentially a volunteer organization when it was so difficult to get people to step up. So does anyone else have any questions or comments regarding?
I do have a question, but it's a little, I don't know if it's necessarily about the emergency meeting itself, but something that you mentioned at first, which was the appointment of a secretary. And I'm just curious if you have a timeline on that. If there is a timeline, you said when this individual is, I don't know, reappointed?
No, I think she's already reappointed as as the youth representative.
She just can't be
But
secretary.
she can't be secretary until she turns 18 because you can't be an elector until you're of age to vote. So I mean, and then she's going off to college because she asked me for a recommendation for college. So
She is
she's
18 now. She is 18.
okay. So she's going off to college. So I don't know if she's going to be in New Haven, I don't know where she's going to be for college. So I can't give you a time. That's a good question, Commissioner Diaz. I don't know what the timing of that is going to be. So I don't know.
And I asked because specifically like I had intentions on making a motion today to suggest that we select or begin the process of selecting and electing a secretary to relieve Oliver of those dual roles. But if there's someone in the pipeline and it's gonna happen soon and that relief is gonna come soon, then that makes sense. But if that's not happening soon, then I don't know how much sense that makes as opposed to engaging in the process now with the commissioners that are available to do so.
If she talked to you, Oliver, and it sounds like she said she's willing to do it, I do know she's applying to colleges. I don't know where she's gonna be, but I'm not privy to the conversation you had with her.
Yeah, so that was at the October meeting. So if she does stick around, she would be interested in taking on the role. But in the meantime, I was wondering if there could even be like a deputy secretary. So at least there's two people doing it. So in case one isn't able to show up or one can't take care of it for a month or whatever, then it passes off to another person to take care of the record keeping, the note keeping, etc. But then again, that's just another idea. Was just spitballing. That can be saved for the secretary vacancy position. So, Yxandra, in regards to filling the vacancy, it's really as simple as the other officers just appointing a volunteer. So right now in the chat, it's me and Jessica. Um, we can contact Marcy Lynn afterwards because she's the treasurer, but the three of us can just say, oh, this person volunteered, they want to be the secretary, and then that's it. They're the secretary.
Cool. Oliver, can you send me over, like, I don't know if there's like a short, brief description of what the duties of either the secretary or the deputy secretary would need to manage?
If you got the bylaws, it's in the bylaws, because I just
Okay.
went, yeah, it's in the bylaws. If you, because I think you asked for the paperwork. I
Yep,
think
yep. And
Oliver's
I did get it. Yep.
it's in the bylaws.
Okay,
It should
thank you.
be.
I'll look over that.
It should be.
Okay.
To follow up on that question, actually, Oliver, are we leveraging all the tools we have available to ease the burden of the secretary? So, for instance, we are meeting on Zoom. Zoom provides a transcript of just at baseline, it'll provide a transcript. So, are we leveraging that tool at all? I don't usually see
Yes.
it.
So the way it works is that Erica, now that we set up a Dropbox where Erica can store all of the recorded meetings. It'll also include the transcripts. It usually comes in different formats, but I've used the transcripts. They're somewhat helpful, but the text to speech isn't really the best. You're still going to have to sit there and rewatch the video and take good notes the meeting of in order to assemble the minutes.
What is this, Judge Wilson? This may be a question for you or maybe for corporate counsel in terms of my personal experience of minutes. Our minutes are much more like a court transcript than like what I think of traditional meeting minutes in terms of sort of
Yeah, so, and that's why I think, and Pat King indicated that she'd be more than happy to provide someone here for remedial training on FOIA. Electronic is that's not acceptable under FOIA. It's not acceptable. I mean, you can pose the question to Corporation Counsel, but it's not acceptable.
Oh, no. Sorry. I'm not, that's not.
I guess I didn't understand your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So my question isn't a written versus a digital transcript. My question is the dimension of exactness that the minutes require, right? So a transcript is word by word.
Right.
Traditionally, meeting minutes are less sort of X reported this, Y reported that, C reported,
right. Right. I think the latter is sufficient.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be exact. I think the latter is sufficient.
Because I think,
but I'm just saying you can't use electronic. You know, the handwritten would be the minutes that you would be. I was under the impression that the recording was to be used in order to assist in the transcript, to the written minutes. That's to assist the person who's taking the written minutes.
Yeah, and then that I was thinking of it in the same fashion, right? It's there as an additional hearer, to remind you when somebody called you in the background or whatever is happening and you missed something.
That's right.
I just think I think it would be good for Corp Counsel to sort of give us some guidance in terms of how much, because Oliver, you have been doing yeoman's work in terms of it's 7:29 and at 7:29 we started doing this and then at 7:31
right.
And that is a lot of detail work, and I don't know that all of it is entirely necessary. And so especially if we're starting to think about pulling another secretary aboard, I think getting clarity on that could be really important in terms of how do we as a commission, what's the minimum standard we can meet so that everybody
I think that's an excellent question. And I think that Corporation Counsel can provide that information. And I know that, Attorney King indicated that, the remedial training and questions that you have for Corporation Counsel, it's good, because then we know exactly. I like the idea of the group chat that Oliver suggested. The question I have for Corp Counsel, can we do that? The other thing is when we have, if we're going to have separate meetings, subcommittee meetings, like for example, on this forum issues, I don't know whether or not can we do that. I'm not sure. And again, I don't want to expose anybody to liability, because understand, under FOIA, not only with the city, the mayor, but us individually could be responsible. And also, the November 6th meeting was not a legal meeting. Okay, I read the statute. It was not an emergency meeting. Emergency is where the commission takes action on an urgent matter by vote. And the thing is that the meeting notice was sent well before 48 hours, 24 hours. We didn't, it was sent a week and a day, or a week and a couple days before, before the actual meeting. So there was plenty of enough time to give notice to the public. You really want to be careful about that. You can talk to Corporation Counsel. They're willing to come in about, emergency meetings. I think the group chat is an excellent idea. Oliver, the tool that we use to notify, I'm understanding that tool is to just remind folks of their reports. But then when you get into, Oliver, because I got an email from you regarding discussion, you got to be careful with that. So I think Corporation Counsel can give you the scope of what we can do in terms of, because we have to get work done. So I mean, I think that tool that to remind us of committee reports, I think the group chat is excellent, but we just want to make sure and be mindful of what the scope we can do, because this is a public agency. I mean, my notes as a judge, when I was a trial judge, if I clicked on public, they're FOIAble. All of our emails are FOIAble. Okay, meaning that it's freedom of information. So you just want to be very, very careful. But the November 6th meeting was clearly under the statute, not a legal meeting. And you want to avoid that. That's all I'm going to say on that. You want to avoid that.
So I feel like this, I regret the fact that we don't actually have any representative from Yard on here, because I feel like this is a point of tension, right? Where Yard requests a meeting, we have the meeting, and then we're exposed.
That's right. That's absolutely correct.
Right.
It's incumbent upon the chair. If Yard requests the meeting, then it's incumbent upon the chair to conduct the meeting, or to call the meeting in accordance with the rules of FOIA, so that we're not exposed. It's okay for Yard to call a meeting. That's fine. But you got to be careful, because, when you're a public agency, and let me tell you something, I had cases that came all the way up to the appellate court on freedom of information. I just had one last month on the Freedom of Information Act. So you really want to be careful. And I'm not saying that Yard can't ask for a meeting. They can, but it's incumbent upon the chair to say, okay, we'll have a meeting, but we have to comply with the Freedom of Information Act so that the public gets notice. And if you characterize it as an emergency, it has to be an emergency. And an emergency is where we're acting on an item of an urgent nature. We're voting on an item. There was nothing urgent about that meeting. And you gave notice. The thing that really compelling thing is that the notice was given well in advance of the meeting, so that you had time to give the public notice of the meeting. And the only other thing I wanted to say with respect to, corporation counsel, I think we need some guidance as to what yards, yards duties are relative to the commission. There was a time when, the chair of, I mean, the director of yard was at every commission meeting, Che Dawson. Caprice Taylor Mendez was at every meeting. That, I understand that may not be possible. But what I was told, and I'm not going to get into names, that Yard is really only an administrative arm to turn the Zoom on and turn it off. So, Corporation Counsel, relative to the ordinance, because it is mentioned that we cannot get any additional staff, only existing staff, Yard has been designated as the department that's going to be our staff. We need to get clarification on what they're, if it is administrative, then we accept that. But they, the statute, the ordinance does state that we're not to utilize any additional staff. No additional staff is going to be paid for, is what I'm saying. But the staff is to be within the city, and Yard has been designated. So now in the past, Yard has been very active on the commission. As I said, Che would come to every commission meeting. Tommy Vale, who was in the position that Erica is now, was very active and would provide us with some insight and issues that we can work on that needed to be worked on. I'm not clear as to, per the ordinance, what Yard's role is, and we need to get that clarified, and Corporation Counsel can do that.
I have to go, but I do have a question before I leave that's respective to something that was brought up earlier about the management of the Youth Commission funds. And I'm just curious, instead of lingering in that uncertainty of whatever guidance that Alex had or whatever, is it possible to request that it is included in the next agenda that we discuss inviting a representative from the city treasurer's, a controller's office, to really walk us through how commission funds are managed under city policy?
Yeah, so we can put that as new business for the next meeting. So just I can shoot out an email to Alex and see if someone is willing to come in and speak on that topic.
All right, thank you. May I be excused, Chair?
Sure.
All right, thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks for coming down. Have a good one.
The other thing, Oliver, I was going to tell you in an effort to help you with respect to the secretary position, if in fact, we don't get a secretary, or if Commissioner Diaz reads everything and decides she can't do it, that's a question you can ask Corp Counsel. I discussed that with the Corporation Counsel, Pat King. That's something that you can ask relative to the ordinance. Are we not in compliance with the ordinance because we don't have a secretary, or what can we do, to be, if we're not in compliance, what can we do? How can we handle that? I had suggested round robin, where we would have, each commission member to handle the minutes for a particular month. I don't know that we can do that. I'm not sure, I don't know. But let me know the date. If you're looking at February for Corp Counsel, let me know. I'll reach out to Pat King. We'll get that date. If it's going to be a meeting in February, I just need to know January or February. I need to know.
Okay, so it'll most likely be January with February as a backup. So we can just roll in all of the Corp Counsel decision questions, and just while they're there, have everything answered all at once, so they don't have to come back and forth.
Right.
Okay.
That's great.
Let me. Okay, so 8:53, now on to secretary vacancy, but Yesenia took off. She said she was gonna take a second look at the bylaws to check out the duties. So does anyone else have any questions regarding the secretary vacancy? Okay. Hearing none, let's move on to committee appointments. So 53. And yeah, once again, so I was hoping that Yesenia would jump into either membership or maybe outreach for the time being. But we'll just have to take care of that when she's here next. And then last two, it's first one's going to be Thanksgiving turkey giveaway. So did anyone go to the Edgewood Park today for the event?
Isn't it happening right now?
Yeah, so it started at 4 p.m. earlier. So they've been going for most of the afternoon. They like I remember on the flyer it said that they would keep going as long as supplies lasted. So it sounds like they got a ton of donations this year. So that's a good thing. But
I'll admit this is an area where I, between my job and my kid, attending commission events and yard events is not my number one priority unless it's like I'm prioritizing my time to be here and do the work of the commission.
I
So
agree.
just for my own part, I understand why FaceTime at yard events is helpful and meaningful. I think it also goes back to what Judge Wilson was asking, which is sort of what's our relationship to yard? Are we a booster for yard, which would make more sense for us to sort of be present and bring people, or are we advising the city and yard is the avenue through which our sort of commission acts? I think those are two different things, and I
Yeah,
admit
I
I
agree.
haven't been particularly clear on that
I
throughout my
agree.
time here. It's been a question, and I felt a little sensitive asking it because it's sort of like, well, why are you here? To, to the people who are supporting it, and it's not really what I mean, but I've asked in the past, what's the role that we can expect to have from the people who are, Erica and others who are supporting the commission. And I very much experience it as they open the Zoom and then they go.
That's it.
And
Well, in the past, and I can speak from a historical perspective, as I said, when Che Dawson was the department head of Yard, he was at every single commission meeting. There was the year when Barack Obama was elected, the economy failed and we got stimulus money. We were very active in granting out that money to different organizations. They presented a proposal to Che. Che brought it to the commissioners. We interviewed people. So, I mean, the department was very active. The commissioners, were even involved in the selection process of the department head. We interviewed, I remember very clearly interviewing. We were also involved with youth at work, going to the work sites. And so Che was very engaging as a youth department head with the commission. Likewise, Jason Bartlett was, but he didn't attend every meeting. He came to some, or he sent Earl Lobo. Um, and Caprice Mendes Taylor was very active. Tommy Vale, who was in the role that Erica is in, was very active with the youth commission, gave us ideas, gave us, not only did we participate in the events that Yard gave, but also Tommy would bring back ideas for the youth commission to get involved in. As I said, and I'm not going to name names, but it was from someone up high, was told that that Yard, their only function was clerical, administrative. They turn the Zoom on and turn it off, and that is it. So I need to get clarification on Yard's position because they are meant, not Yard specifically, but in the ordinance, it says that we can't hire any support staff, but that we have to use existing support staff, and they were designated as that support staff. What does that mean? This is the first administration that I have seen where it has been, and maybe under Tony Harp's administration, not as engaging and involved as prior administrations. So that I agree with you, Commissioner Holzer, that there needs to be a clear understanding of what Yard's role is, because we can partner with them on things. Why reinvent the wheel? We can help them. We can assist them. We can partner with them. And when we do something like the Issues Forum, they should be involved with that to help us with that. They have the kids. They know the kids that they're dealing with, the high risk kids. I'm not talking about, the kids that, are in I'm talking about the high risk kids that we need to target. That's what they're there to do, to deal with. And so we can, they have that information. They can tell us what they need us to do. And that's what happened in my prior years on the commission. Che would tell us what the commission need to do. He recruited us. Go out to the employers that are hiring these kids for youth at work. We need you to interview the people that are applying for this stimulus money. They submitted proposals. And I know Delta Sigma Theta sorority got a grant for the Delta Academy program, but they came in, they submitted their proposal, had to do a presentation. We were involved with that. Caprice Taylor Mendez, as I said, we were involved. We were also involved with interviewing the department head for the youth, for Yard. So I agree. There's clarification. We need to get clarification on that, because they can be a wonderful contribution asset to us.
Or at the very least, we are a city commission, right? So we serve at the pleasure of the mayor and the alders. They appoint us, and we have a duty to the residents of the city. But we also are, we don't know how to get a bank account, and we don't know how to, I feel like we're trying to solve problems with inadequate support.
I agree.
I would love to have the city demonstrate that it wants this work by empowering the work.
That was well said.
Okay. It's 9:01. Let's move on to the Good Scout Award reception. So did everyone get the email from Erica? I think this was a little more than a week ago about this upcoming event.
Yes.
Okay, so I just did a little bit of digging into it. So they have at least two speakers that I know of for now. First one I didn't recognize. The other one was the state rep over in West Haven, and it's going to be held at not Anthony's Ocean View, but it's going to be at another venue over on Morris Cove. Seemed pretty interesting. The only issue in terms of attendance is that if you go to the Boy Scouts website for the event details, tickets are $100 a pop. So yeah, as much as I would like to support the scouting efforts here in New Haven, I understand if that's going to be a bit too much for anyone these days.
Let me say this, Oliver, to you. I think as chair you should go. I'll donate the $100 for you.
Oh no, I'm definitely gonna go because.
Okay. Because
this was more just for everyone else.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, because I was a Boy Scout in the past, so I was pretty interested.
I was a Girl Scout.
I
Oh,
was
okay.
also a Girl Scout.
Oh, small world.
We should assess the average scouting background of commission members across the city. I bet we'll find a high percentage relative to the general population.
Yep. Which I mean, which works out because like that was the whole point, essentially just preparing people for
Service.
public and civic service.
Yep.
So yeah, that's about it. So they were pretty scarce on details. I think it was just going to be you're going to have some of the scout troops there. They're going to give their speech, they're going to give thanks and maybe like a little plaque or something, and that's about it. Okay. Now it is 9:03. So I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Does anyone second?
Second.
Hearing the second. So all those in favor of adjourning the meeting say aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none, and the ayes have it. Okay, so that was a lot longer than I planned, but
Marathon round. But we
yeah,
covered some really important stuff.
but this is good. So yeah, pretty much just to get all this out of the way. I'm not really sure how December is going to shake out. Because again, like people are going to be going on vacation, they're going to be spending time with their family, their loved ones. So I don't want to cancel the December meeting, but yeah, just keep that in mind.
Why don't we at that 2 week mark where committee heads are sending in their business, why don't we poll them and say, are you going to be able to attend on the 21st?
Okay.
Or whatever day it's going to be. Maybe it's not the 21st because that's going to be a Monday. No. How do you math? The 20th. Some number of days. I don't know. Pretend I know what I'm talking about. We'll just poll people and say, are you going to be in attendance? Because if we can know in advance that people are going to say no, then we can preemptively say, we don't anticipate having quorum. We can't do the commission's business.
Yeah.
I mean, we did just spend an extra hour tonight. So, in terms of dedicating hours, we're spending the time. So I just think it would be a good idea for us to assess it, and then we can post to the public as well. We're not anticipating having this meeting. We'll see you in January.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion.
So let me make a note of that. And that'll be out with the next round of group notifications. Here it is. And mid-December. Okay. And with that, we are done. Thanks everyone for coming out.
Thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so I feel that this
Oliver.
one we got a lot of confusion and a lot of misunderstandings out of the way. So yeah, we'll chalk this up to, I guess, a brand new beginning.
Put it in the Thanksgiving bucket and we'll all give
Yeah.
thanks.
And Oliver, I want to say you are doing a good job. I want you more engaged on the committees, whatever committee you choose. I think the Stevens committee, if you can, engage in that. I think we need all the commissioners. But I nominated you, and I did that because I wanted a young person, bright young person with fresh ideas to do that. So I just want to let you know that you are doing a good job, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
All right.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I got to head out. Kids going to
Yeah,
bed.
catch you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.